I will make sure my ex-husband will regret cheating on me. The words echoed in Kara's mind as she stared at the empty canvas in front of her, her hand tight around a paintbrush she hadn't touched in 10 years. They'd met 15 years earlier at an art school showcase, where her vibrant abstract pieces had caught the eye of everyone in the room, including David, a sharp-dressed student studying art business. He'd approached her with a confidence that made her smile, talked about how her work deserved to be seen by the world. I don't just want to look at art, he'd said, holding her hand as they walked through the gallery space. I want to build a home for artists like you, where talent gets the recognition it deserves. Kara had been swept away. He'd attended every one of her studio sessions, brought her coffee while she painted, and even helped her stretch canvases when her hands were sore. When he proposed 2 years later, he'd done it with a ring tucked inside a paint box, promising to always support her dreams as much as she supported his. For a decade, she'd kept her end of the bargain. She'd set aside her own, promising painting career to manage every detail of his gallery, from balancing budgets to curating shows, from negotiating with collectors to decorating the space with her own early work. She trusted every excuse he gave for staying out late, every story about important networking events, until she'd walked in on him and a young artist he'd been showcasing in their home, on the couch where they'd once planned their future together. But the anger that followed burned away her heartbreak and left a clear purpose in its place. She refused to crumble or let him walk away with everything they'd built. Instead, she quietly began to untangle their lives and business. She'd kept meticulous records of every penny she'd invested, every contact she'd introduced him to, and every piece of advice she'd given that had turned his small idea into a thriving gallery. At the same time, she pulled out her old supplies and spent hours each night painting with a passion she'd suppressed for years. Her work now filled with the raw emotion of loss, anger, and quiet strength. When she was prepared, she called David to the gallery. She laid out all her documentation, proving that much of the business's success was built on her labor and connections, and that he'd been siphoning funds to fund the other woman's exhibitions and materials. She'd already registered her own art studio and secured contracts with half their top clients, who'd learned of his actions and chosen to stand by her. You thought my love meant I'd always be willing to step aside, she said, her voice clear and unwavering. But I was the foundation holding everything up. Now I'm building something of my own, one that doesn't need you. She closed the door on their old life and opened her studio the next week. Her paintings quickly gained attention, with critics praising their powerful emotional depth and technical skill. Within a year, her work was being shown in prestigious galleries across the country, and she was mentoring young artists who needed someone to believe in their talent the way no one had believed in hers. Kara hadn't sought to ruin David, she'd simply taken back what was hers, and in doing so, found a strength and success that made his betrayal not just meaningless, but something he'd come to deeply regret.
If you want part 2, just subscribe to me and comment part 2.